What's good? Welcome.
Welcome
to the Central Ohio Hoops Report. I am Derrick Owens Jr.
Zach Fleer, 270 Hoops.
Hey, listen. My man Zach Fleer and myself, we've been working on this for about 1 year, maybe a little bit longer. Tried to reach out to Zach, man. I respect what he does as the foremost authority on Central Ohio basketball, high school, not only in Central Ohio, but in the state of Ohio, even making his way into the college realms with some of the great athletes that play basketball throughout Central Ohio, and that's moving on. So I reached out to him. I said, man, we got to do something special for the basketball season. Shout out to my man, Producer G, with the amazing.
Producer G is the truth.
Hey,
he is the truth.
With the platform that he provided for us. And we put this together, man, the Central Ohio High School Showcase, which I'm a part of, Zach Fleer with 270 Hoops, which you all know, you all follow. Go get the magazine. Go get the magazine. The magazine.
We covered every single team in the area, 100-plus teams, get our staff picks. This is legit, man. I mean, Jason and I, and then Nathan Perkey, Jake Spiegel, Darkel Curry. Check it out, closer to the camera. Every team. So get it. You can get it online. I posted the tweet. There's links to that. You can get the physical copy, which is this right here. We'll be sending this out tomorrow and Saturday, or you can get the digital version as well, which will be available for download starting tomorrow morning. But going off what Derrick was saying, you know, we've been talking about doing a show like this for a long time. If you guys haven't seen this show, the Central Ohio High School Showcase, football season, track season, girls basketball, even last year, every sport he's covering it. He's out there putting on, you know, these athletes. Right now you've been sending out highlight tapes of all the senior football players in Central Ohio that don't have offers. So
just trying to help.
We have the same, you know, we had the same kind of vision when it came to doing a show like this and providing, you know, another platform for the kids in the area to be, you know, put on a higher pedestal
Yes.
and put on a higher platform. So really excited to get going. This is a special episode. We're previewing the 2018-19 season, but starting next Saturday, so December 8th. Starting December 8th,
12/8/18,
10 a.m. every single Saturday that we can throughout the season. So, you know, you play Friday night. You're on 270hoops.com Friday night looking at what happened. You'll be here on Saturday morning, and we'll be talking about what happened. We'll have videos. We'll have all types of content and coverage. So excited to get going. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them on Twitter. If you're watching on Facebook, leave it on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, leave it on YouTube, and we'll do our best to answer it live on the air. So
leave all the comments. Sumadursky, my girl, she's watching. What's up? I'll be home soon. Survivors, you know, Survivor tonight. I'll be there. Rick Jones is watching. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Rick Jones says, great work, man. Thank you very much. We're just trying to provide something special, man, something new that will allow the young people, man, at the communities and the schools, something to be super proud of. So, look, with no further ado, man, let's get into it. Let's talk some basketball. Let's open up, man, with Pick Central, okay? The last time we seen Pick Central state semifinals
against Solon. Second year in a row, you know, they won the regional title. In a thriller against Hilliard Bradley last year, they returned a star-studded team. You know, in Division I, they're probably the top team right now. I'd say it's them and Hilliard Bradley, but Pick Central returns a lot of experience this year. You know, you can start in the backcourt. Jeremiah Francis is hurt again. He got an unfortunate knee injury.
And before you finish on that, let's kind of go back just real quick. Last year they did make the state semifinals, and they didn't have Jeremiah Francis. Yep. He won't be available this year. It doesn't seem as well. Just to, if you would, a couple seconds on just the kind of player he is, what Pick Central missed last year, what they're going to be missing this year, and then we can get into the roster and how they'll try to replace, you know, what is one of the biggest losses in America for a high school basketball team.
Jeremiah, that summer 2017, coming off his sophomore year, you know, he was a consensus top 75, top 50 player, prospect in the country. Had a big summer. That was after leading Pick Central, you know, all the way to the state semifinals again, the first time when he was a sophomore. So they're missing a leader on the court. You know, ever since Jeremiah was a freshman, when he stepped on that court, it was his team. And even they had Abby Watson, they had Jalen Tate, they had Sterling Manley. Jeremiah ran the show. So for him to be hurt, you know, it's a huge blow, especially for that team and then for fans in the area that just want to watch a great basketball player like him take the floor.
Absolutely.
He's a leader, you know. I think it says something that a high major school like North Carolina, who could get, you know, any guard in the country that they wanted,
anybody,
would still, you know, allow him to sign and take his commitment because they believe, and Roy Williams knows the type of player that he is. And, you know, when Jeremiah gets healthy and gets back in shape, back in basketball shape, I think he's going to really surprise people. Kid's got an IQ for the game and a feel for the game that's unlike a lot of players that I've seen. So to have him, be without him last year and still make it. And I think another thing with Jeremiah, him being gone, he's still with the team. He's still on the team. He's there on the bench. He goes on the road. He's, a leader on that team, even if he's not on the court. So I think that speaks to his character, and they're going to miss him again, but I'm really excited to see what he does in college.
Absolutely. Before we get into what Pick Central is going to offer us this year, Rick Jones comments again. I love it, bro. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it, man. Sue Madarsky comments, looks great. I agree. Thank you for checking in, for watching. Ron Best is watching. Ron Best, big out there in girls basketball. What's up, Ron?
Shout out to Javon Best.
Hey, right. Chris Green is watching. What's up, Green? What's up, Chris Green? Got Hamilton Township in mind.
Marquise
I know.
Moore, he's a stud. He's a stud.
And we got a Jamal Brewer checking in. I knew Jeremiah was special way back when he was at Berwick. So a lot of Jeremiah
City champion at Berwick.
Hey, man, a lot of fans of Jeremiah.
He's just a great kid, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of Carolina jerseys, too.
It's so unfortunate that 2 knee surgeries, he's missed, 2 seasons now. So I can't wait till that kid gets back on the court. But for Pick Central, they don't have him. And last year, when Jeremiah was recovering from the first knee injury that he had, there was hope that he would return at the end of the year. So that was kind of always in the back of those guys' minds, like, hey, we might have Jeremiah later in the season. So when they were like 9-8 at one point and kind of struggling, really, they were like, well, we might get Jeremiah later in the season. So this year they know that he's not going to be there, at least on the court. So it's a different mentality for them. And I think with Jeremiah's absence, a guy like Javon Garcia, he really developed into their leader. Recently decommitted from Miami, Ohio. He's got big-time potential. So that's a guy at the point guard position. He does a lot of things that you just don't see, like this right here, going up, throwing in an alley-oop like that. I mean, how many point guards in this area can jump like that and make the impact that he can? So,
and I'm going to be honest with you on Garcia, man. Like, last couple years, I didn't know that he had this in his game last year, okay? Just with the ease that he accomplished the dunk with. As far as Garcia, I love Garcia, what he brought to the table last year. I would like him to be even more aggressive, even more explosive on the offensive end this year. I think he has it in him.
Yep.
Defensively, long, athletic.
Can guard multiple positions at the high school level, which is key.
Yes, he is a tremendous player. He's definitely going to be the leader of Pick Central this year. But what is Pick Central going to be looking, past Garcia? Who's going to be the guys that are going to help them solidify this team and make another run to another trip to the Schottenstein Center this year?
Well, they have a deep core, and they got quite a few senior leaders on that team right now. A guy like Colton Landis, the senior, 6'7", big. He's made some pretty big improvements to his game. In that regional final against Hilliard Bradley last year, he was really the guy that was making some big plays in that fourth quarter. He banked in a 3 at the top of the key. He had several offensive rebounds and tough finishes against a Bradley team where it's tough to rebound on those guys and tough to score on the inside because they pack it in so well. Bradley reminds me a lot of Virginia, and that was a kid, Colton, that just went in there and was causing havoc there in the fourth quarter. And he's improved. He's gotten better shape. He was one of the top performers at our fall league. Had I believe a 30-point game and averaged as a top 10 scorer in that league. And he's taken some major improvements. It's going to start with him in the front court. Also in the front court, Sam Towns comes in from Springfield. He is a Pickerington kid. If you do pick up the 270 Hoops season preview,
pick that up.
We have a feature story about Sam Towns and Jay Rogers and basically their story and why they're back at Pick Central and the reason behind it. But Sam, 6'8", he's versatile. He defends multiple positions. He can shoot. He can handle it. He's going to be key for them if they can get him and Rogers for the whole season. Pick Central is going to be. They're a threat. That coaching staff, they believe if they have that full team that they can make it all the way to the state. So
now, but I want to stop you there because we talked about the 2 young men that they didn't have last year. With Towns and Rogers. Now, they also had some losses on the Pick Central team. As we had 2 young men come in, 2 young men went out, and I'd like you to touch on those young men who are going to be making the transfer out as well. Yeah,
so Josiah Fulcher and Jameer Simpson both transferred to Lima Senior. Jameer's a great player. He's a very good player. He was the MVP of the junior class in our Bow for the City event back in March. Didn't play a whole lot last year, kind of came off the bench in spurts. But Josiah is a guy, ever since he was a freshman, he was a junior now, but when he was a freshman with a loaded team, when Francis was a sophomore, that was, they put him in the corner. He made shots. Last year as a sophomore, he took a major stride again in that Hilliard-Bradley game. He was someone that could get off the dribble and get to the basket and score against a tough defense. So they're going to miss shots. Josiah, as a 2-guard, was a great rebounder.
I loved him last year. Yeah, definitely.
Very versatile. So they're definitely going to miss him. Definitely going to miss Jameer because he was going to have another, kind of roll off the bench this year as, maybe a glue guy, can do multiple things. So with those two going out, and then they get, Rogers and Towns back in, so it helps their depth. But as of now, Rogers and Towns, they've been ruled ineligible for the second half of the season. So if that ruling stands, it's going to be pretty interesting. Pick Central does have some seniors on that bench that don't get a whole lot of recognition. A guy like Avante Jones, a guy like Jalen Foreman. Those are guys that they play their role really well. They know they're never going to be a feature guy. Jalen Cromwell's another senior forward that I think he's going to have a role even with Rogers and Towns in the lineup. But outside of those guys, I think Jaden Lipscomb, another guy.
That's the guy I wanted to touch on. Yes.
Man, that Hilliard-Bradley game, Jaden, in the fourth quarter, they're down, and he hits back-to-back threes, and it was cold-blooded. He's an elite shooter. He does not care where he's at on the court, who's guarding him. If he's got this much space or he's wide open, he's putting it up. And with the type of space that Garcia is going to open up, Rogers is going to open up. Tyleek Walker is another kid. He doesn't get enough recognition. He started last year with Francis being down as a sophomore. Tyleek really elevated his game, and I think he's ready to show that he's more than just a role player. So that backcourt, they're loaded.
Yeah,
you got
absolutely.
Garcia, you got Rogers, you got Lipscomb, you got Walker. They got plenty of options on that offense, and defensively, they can defend all positions and kind of switch off on all the screens.
And this is your top team preseason, Central Ohio.
It's kind of 1A, 1B. I think Hilliard-Bradley is right there.
I want to talk about them coming up. You brought them up. Trip Hopkins is watching. Trip, what's up out there? Marlon Hayes, South High alum, point guard back in the day. What's up, Marlon? I see you out there. Trip Hopkins says, great platform for these young men. I hope the city appreciates your passion and what you guys have. Trip, man, we get there. We're going to get there, Trip. Just keep checking in with us, man. Keep spreading the word. Look, like this, share this. Continue to comment. We appreciate that. And look, man, we're here for you, for basketball,
Absolutely.
for the young people, man. And definitely, Trip. I think they'll appreciate that. So let's move on. We talked about Pick Central. Let's talk about a team that's been on their heels the last couple years, hasn't gotten necessarily over the hump. This is a good team with some players that we're going to be seeing not only this year but next year. Let's talk about Hilliard-Bradley and what you expect from them coming this year, and can they get over that hump? Can they make it, this year a trip to Schottenstein Center? Is it possible?
They're definitely capable. It starts with the defense. Those guys, as a team, I think they defend better than anybody else in the area. They're a guy that I talked to, AAU coach, AAU director, compared them to kind of the Cincinnati Moeller of the North in a way that they defend as a team and communicate and share the ball and able to hit shots. They're right there. A lot of people will think, Isaiah Spielman and Braden Norris were two amazing players. When they got to Hilliard-Bradley back before the 2014-15 season, Bradley, they were, bottom of the barrel in Central Ohio. My first year covering 2012-13, Bradley was winless. They were the lowest seed in Central Ohio.
Wow.
And got beat by like 40 against Northland in the first tournament game that I covered.
They are far from that right now.
They're far from that. They're elite. Last year they were 25-2, I believe.
And the year before, a great record as well.
Right there. They lost in the district final to
yes,
Dan Goodwin in Upper Arlington. So Bradley's there. They're for real.
We've got a top player on this team.
Matt Alaco, stud. 2020 point guard, 6'4". He commands a team better than probably anybody in the area. He's a coach on the floor. He's got coaching just genealogy all throughout his family. Mm-hmm. His uncle is a legendary coach out in California. His dad, Greg, is an assistant at Bradley, was an assistant at Upper Arlington when they made it to the state final back in 2014. So Matt, he's a 2020 kid, but he played a lot of AAU, and he was younger with Dan Goodwin.
Wow.
And Isaiah Spielman and Braden Norris.
So he's been around those elite level players.
He was playing 2 years up in AAU, as an 8th grader. And when he got to high school, he had a 40-point game as a freshman.
And you don't hear that too much.
Against Worthington Kilbourne. So Alaco, his kid's a grinder, man. He's a leader. When you have him on your team, you're pretty confident that you're going to be able to go pretty far. So,
but they are not
it's deeper
alone.
than that.
Yeah, they are not alone. Let's talk about some others. Zach Hummel, another top player on the roster.
Going to Cincinnati for football.
Chris Mayfield, another outstanding athlete on the roster. Jack Pugh,
Jack
another
Pugh
outstanding athlete.
is the X factor. He is the X factor. He had an okay freshman season. Obviously, you had Spielman and those guys that were getting the majority of the touches, and Jack kind of played a role off the bench. But this year, he's ready to kind of be – not kind of – he's going to be their number 2 guy. Alako's obviously is all going to start with him, but Jack, he's 6'6". He's a pure wing. He can defend and play all positions. He does things really well. He can, make almost every shot on the floor. He's a great athlete. He defends. He's a smart player. He's kind of the same mentality as Alako.
Right.
Those two guys are just grinders, man. They're tough.
And when you have players like that, players who know the game, that can facilitate that to their teammates on the floor, it keeps you in games. They're not going to make the big mistake to beat themselves. You're going to have to beat this team.
Absolutely.
So it's look, I'll be honest. I want them to have another outstanding season. I want to see them get to that threshold again to see if they can really get over the hump.
I think they can.
I want to see that for this team this year.
A guy that's going to really surprise people this year is A.J. Mergen. He's a sophomore. Again, came off the bench last year. He learned from Braden Norris and Matt Alako on, what it takes to be, an ultimate lead guard and just a winner on the floor. So AJ is going to be a guy. He's going to start this year. He's going to be their top, him and Alako are going to be the guys in the backcourt. So you could see him having a big year. I think another player, Keaton Norris, he's the son of Coach Brett Norris. He's a lot like Braden. His older brother, Braden, he's a freshman at Oakland right now. He's leading the country in three-point field goal percentage. And Keaton is almost as good of a shooter as Braden was. So
he was the best shooter I seen last year. I mean, the last couple of years, he was
deadly.
Yes, he was.
Deadly.
I seen him start a game with 4 straight threes. So yeah, the Norris family, I'm sure he'll be able to fill it up. Definitely. I want to move on a little bit. These are the top 2 teams that you would say right now in the area.
Yep.
Pick Central, Hilliard Bradley. And Hilliard Bradley, just to touch on them for a quick minute, an underrated athletic school. They're solid in football. They're solid in basketball.
Solid in baseball.
Yes, they have players. I think this is a school that needs a little bit more recognition. And
they're new. I mean, they're the new kids on the block still.
They are.
They haven't been around very long, but on that basketball team, Zach Hummel, he's going to Cincinnati to play football. Chris Mayfield has several, big-time football offers as just a Swiss Army knife on the defensive side of the ball in football. He's kind of the same way in basketball. He's a big-time athlete. He's got long arms, rebounds, defends, can handle it a little bit. He's going to have a breakout season. He doesn't get enough recognition, I don't think. Because with the way Bradley plays, guys take their turns.
Right.
You can play in other systems and put up better numbers. But for Bradley, they're it's ultimate team ball. Like, they don't care who scores the most points as long as they're winning. So Chris is a guy, he's a great teammate because he's sacrificed his own personal stats to, go out there and win with those guys. So they're for real. And their schedule, since the OCC realigned the conferences before the 2015-16 season, Bradley hasn't lost an OCC game.
Unbelievable.
They're 24-0.
Unbelievable. Let's move on to another team. This team, I know this is high school and we're not supposed to have favorites, but I love this young man's game. Me and you have debated about, where he is in our rankings compared to other players, but that school is Dublin Kaufman. And again, they are led by Dominic Penn, son of Scooney Penn, Ohio State great, Ohio State legend. Let's talk about what you envision for this team. What is Penn surrounded by this year, and what kind of run can they make? This may be the year for them to step up after a big tournament performance last year that he opened with that kind of fell short against Pick Central. For
the last 20 years, Dublin Kaufman has been a team. They've always competed for district titles, and they've won quite a few district titles, but they've never been able to get through the regional tournament. It's always been, where they slip up, whether it was, going back 6 years and losing to Northland. Last year, Pick Central has beat them in the regional tournament or district tournament the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they've struggled against those elite teams. But this year, I think Kaufman's right there. Obviously, starting with Dom in the backcourt, you can pick whoever you want in that 2020 class. I think when it comes to offense, this guy is as good as they come. He can score every shot. He can make every shot on the floor. He can score it at the rim. He can take you off the dribble. He can make passes that not many point guards can make. He's just elite level skill. And the biggest step up that he's had to make is as a leader. Dom is the first couple years, he had the ultimate green light, wasn't always the best leader on the floor. This year, he's taken a step up. He's matured. He's had some adversity he had to go through this summer, off the court, and has really grown because of it. And with that, that process combined with what they have, which is a very deep senior class, I think this could be the year for Kaufman. They match up really well with Pick Central. They match up really well with Bradley. They may not have a traditional big man, but they have length and athleticism. And a guy that has really stepped up. And I'm a big fan of him. I think he's got Division I potential. I really do. Is Derrick Van Vlera, the senior wing, 6'5". He's as good of an athlete as there is in Central Ohio.
I like him. He was big on the track. He was a high jumper.
Yeah.
I believe I want to say he made it to the state.
Yeah.
Yes, but he was jumping some extremely good heights. Like you said, about 6'5", 6'6", very athletic. I think he's the perfect complement to Penn.
For sure.
Can get buckets down low. Hopefully they can run some pick and roll with these guys. I want to.
They will. Kaufman is dribble drive for sure. They're going to try and use the pieces they have to create mismatches. So
I want to shout out Jamal Brewer real quick. He said Penn is the truth. Yes, he is. No question about that. But let's talk about. You mentioned Derrick. Is there anyone else that we should be looking forward to that may step up and help this team?
Luke Bartemus. He's a senior. A lot of people may not. You say Luke Bartemus, they don't know who you're talking about. So this guy, Derrick Van Vlera, he's got all the top Division II offers in the region. Coaches were coming to Kaufman open gyms. They're offering him. But when they're at these open gyms, there's this guy, this 6'4" kid. He's got brown hair. They've never seen him before. He's lighting it up, just knocking down shots. He's strong. He's more athletic. They're like, who's that? They're going to Kaufman coaches like, who is that kid? Oh, it's Luke Bartemus. He's a senior. It got to the point where Lincoln Memorial, Division II powerhouse, saw Luke in an open gym. The head coach, Josh Schertz, went up there, and they're like, okay, we want you to come down to a visit. We want to see if this is just open gym play or can you do this in any setting. He goes to the open gym at Lincoln Memorial, and they got Division I transfers. Julius Brown from Westerville North, who was a stud last year. He's a freshman there, playing really well. Luke goes down there. He lights it up. They offer him a scholarship. The kid commits in a span of literally 2 months. He went from playing non-shoe-sponsored AAU basketball. He played for the NC Bullets. They played in my open fall league. They have some good players, Division III level guys, maybe a couple D2 guys. No one knew Luke. I mean, on the statewide rankings, some people don't have him. Some people have him ranked like 180th, 190th. He's going to Lincoln Memorial.
So let me ask you this: Is this a situation where he just developed over the last couple years?
It's the last 2 years. So when he was a sophomore, he started off the season. Him and Derrick both started off the season on JV, and then Kaufman had some injuries, and they brought these two up, and they just from the day one they lit it up. They took advantage of their opportunities. But Luke especially, last year he came off the bench, was mainly a floor spacer guy that could knock down shots. This past summer he's shed a lot of weight. He's a lot more cut and thick now. He can guard guys. He's more athletic. He can do more off the dribble. And, again, he's 6'4", so he's got good size on the wing, and he's an absolute shot maker. He came to my fall league the last 4 or 5 weeks and was just he's making guys pay. You give him any type of separation, he's going to make you pay. So he's a dude that he spaces the floor. And when you have a guy like Dom Penn who can beat people off the dribble, if you have floor spacers, it's really hard to guard because you can't sag off on those guys because you leave them too much space, they're going to make you pay. When Dom's doing stuff like this, you have a guy like Artemis.
Yeah, nothing you can do with him.
There's nothing you can do with it. And then outside of that, a senior there that he doesn't get enough pub is Will Hunter. He's been on varsity for the last 3 years. He's the ultimate glue guy for Kaufman. He's gonna be a nightmare for Division III basketball for the next 4 years when he goes to college because he's so smooth. He reminds me of his style is a lot like Manu Ginobili, where it's a little unorthodox, but he makes it work. He's going to be the glue guy for them. He's going to be.
And I want to say, watching him play last year, really good defensively.
Great defender.
Yes.
Van Vlera is the same way. In my opinion, Van Vlera is the #1 perimeter defender in Central Ohio. He's the only guy I saw last year that could give Dane Goodwin some legitimate problems on the defensive perimeter. But Will Hunter's that type of guy too. So when teams are going up against Kaufman, it's like, okay, you've limited Dom a little bit. You stop Bartemus, maybe. You stop Van Vlera, and then Will Hunter's the guy that's going to break the camel's back. So,
and I think that what they went through last year in the tournament, upsetting Upper Arlington, the team that we're going to talk about next, the way they did, just the kind of emotion and passion that they played with in that game, I think that is going to propel them. Okay, last year just going through that experience and now having the confidence, knowing that hey, we can go in this tournament, we can win some games. We've been here before. I think that's going to be a big thing. But I want to move on to the team that you mentioned just a moment ago, Upper Arlington. Yep. They lose one of the best players in school history, if not
probably
the best.
Their best player. He's all-time leading scorer.
Yes, Dane Goodwin. But they are not the cupboard is not bare at Upper Arlington. And they're going to be here to make some noise as well. I do want to give a quick shout-out to Benjamin. G, I know you got that last name. My man Ben out there. Ben is watching. Hey, Ben, I appreciate you checking in, man.
On the 270, we got quite a few
shout him out. Let's go, man.
Shout out to Mike Daniels on the west side. He does a lot of great things for kids. Shout out to TJ Petros, NEO Spotlight. If you know anything about Northeastern Ohio basketball, TJ is the guy to go to.
Glad you're checking in, fellas.
He watches more basketball than me, and I watch a lot of basketball. He is an absolute maniac when it comes to it. Nikki White, she's got quite a few comments on here. Her son was Jalen Bethel at Olentangy Orange last year. He's playing at Lawrence Tech NAIA school up in Michigan.
Congratulations.
Jalen was another guy as a senior, kind of blew up out of nowhere, had a 30 and 20 game like 2 weeks into the season.
Wow.
Nikki, she's been a big fan of 270 Hoops. Slim Sims, one of the best videographers in the area. Love what he does.
I see his work out there.
He's out there. Marcus Stewart, back when we were talking about Pick Central, he says, we at Pick Central, thank you for all this coverage given to us. We're back working hard and trying to get better every day. Marcus is a guy that he loves the kids, and he's big for that program and does a lot, for those guys, and is someone I really respect. He's been around. When I first started, he was a junior college coach at St. Clair Community College. So shout out to Marcus, but back to UA.
Hey, let's talk about UA, man. Again, Dane Goodwin going on to the University of Notre Dame. Saw him playing on TV last night. But let's talk about the young men that they're going to bring back. Now, one, we know Max Martz, one of the best players in the area. I want you to focus on him a little bit. But then they've got some other athletes on the team, football players that play basketball, outstanding, young, talented men. But what do you expect overall from Upper Arlington? What kind of team can they piece together after losing such a historic player from that school?
So replacing, your all-time leading scorer who accounted for about 40% of your scoring is really tough. Dane could score it as well as anybody. He was Ohio Mr. Basketball last season.
Yes.
But Max is legit. He's been waiting in the wings for the last 3 years. When he was a freshman, Ano Steger was there. He was at Western Carolina now, and they had Dane. So those two guys took all the shots. Max was, again, another floor spacer. When he was a freshman, he was known for just, hitting threes and stretching the floor. Now he's added a lot to his game. He signed to Penn in the Ivy League. He committed to them when he was a junior, and he's a mature kid.
Yes.
When he committed, he told me, I was like, why now? He's like, it didn't matter what other offers I was going to get. This is a school I wanted to go to, so I didn't want to waste anybody else's time. For a high school kid, a lot of these guys, rightfully so, they want to get all the offers that they can.
Mm-hmm.
For Max to, have that maturity and to know what he wanted that early, I think speaks volumes about his character and the way he's been prepared. So,
and the fact that he's going to Penn, what kind of student he is academically.
His dad, Michael, played at Nebraska back in the 80s.
Yes.
I believe he's an attorney now. So Max has been surrounded.
Max is a big kid, man. Like you said, Max has been more spot up in the past. Yeah. I want to see what Max is going to bring to the table now that it's his show. He's going to have the green light pretty much, to do whatever he needs to do on the floor. Are you expecting a different kind of Max Martz that we've seen from the last couple years?
For sure. With Dane being gone, they're going to need someone who can create off the dribble and kind of make their own offense. And Max is going to have to be that guy for UA. Obviously, he can make shots, but he can, do things off the dribble that people may not expect out of him. He's a very good athlete, very versatile, can, defend multiple positions. He can score it, on the block, on the perimeter, mid-range, whatever it has to be. And he can take people off the dribble. And when you're 6'6", he can take people off the dribble, and you got long arms, and you know how to finish. That's a tough guy to cover.
And he's a legit, this isn't a made-up 6'6". He's legit 6'5", 6'6", big kid, strong,
strong, you got
physical.
Good body.
Yes, absolutely.
He's got a body for college basketball, but it's going to be more than him. And I think a player, this guy is probably going to be the X factor for UA, is Sammy Sass. He's a Wright State baseball commit. He's a team starting quarterback in football.
Quarterback, yep.
He had, I believe, a collarbone injury from the football season. Sammy's been cleared to play. The backcourt needs him. That UA backcourt has tended to struggle when Sammy's not in there. And last year he hit some big shots, at home against Dublin Kaufman. That shot right there won them the OCC. Otherwise, it was going to be a split with Kaufman. Obviously, they lost, in the district final. But Sammy, as a senior, he's ready to take that next step up. On the perimeter, he's a great defender.
You know
Just
what kind of leader he is
kid,
as the
man.
quarterback. You know what kind
You're
of
the
leader
quarterback,
he is.
the catcher on the baseball team, and the starting point guard on the basketball
They
team.
trust you.
Not just that, but who does that anymore? I mean, everything's so specialized now. To see a kid who plays three sports is unbelievable. So I'm really excited for Sammy. He's going to have a big year. You know, UA is going to need him to step up and make some big shots. He reminds me a lot of Will Grabovac, who was a guy that played there for several years and was kind of always the dude that when they needed a big bucket, he was in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
I think Sammy's someone that's going to be like that. But the X factor, in my opinion, is CJ Carsados. He's a senior, 6'7", maybe 6'8". Dad was Jim Carsados, played Ohio State football back in the 80s.
Legend, Jim Carsados. I remember Jim Carsados back there winging it around with the little curly hair flicking out the back of the helmet. Yeah.
CJ's got 2 Division I offers. He scored, maybe 8 or 10 points. Might have had more last season total for the season. He was more of a JV, end of the bench guy on varsity. CJ's really improved his game. He had a great summer playing with Nova Village. Has really just elevated and become more consistent than what he was before. For UA to take that next step and compete for an OCC title and a district title, they're going to need CJ to be consistent. They're going to need him to, be out there and scoring the tough buckets inside, getting those tough rebounds, defending bigger guys in the division and, across the area in order to compete with the Bradleys and the UA, the Bradleys and the Kaufmans and the Pick Centrals. So
now UA does have a transfer coming in. Two transfers coming in. Are you expecting anything from these kids to help contribute to the run that UA would like to make this year?
Jake Warner comes in from New Albany as a sophomore last year. He was New Albany's leading scorer. Now he's going to be maybe their 3rd or 4th guy. And I think that's a role that he can really thrive in. He can knock down shots, but he can also do things off the dribble. He was pretty solid in our fall league this past September and October. So Jake's going to play a lot. The other transfer is Fred Wilkes, comes in from Eastmore. He's the first cousin of Trey Burke, so he's got a good bloodline. Fred had a pretty good summer. He's improved a lot. I think he's got a chance to, make an impact in that backcourt very early on. But a sophomore, he's not a transfer. He's been there. Well, he transferred in from Dublin, when he was in middle school. But Kobe Buford is a sophomore there, 6'4", wing guard, knocks down shots, smart player, can defend. He's gonna have to step up this year, but he's gonna have a big role in that offense.
Absolutely. Corey Boyd is watching. Speak on it, Corey. What's up out there, man? Thank you to everyone that is watching, either on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. You can follow the show. Again, this is our preview opening show, the Central Ohio Hoops Report. But we're going to start December 8th, 12/8/18, bringing you this kind of content, this show every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to be going over the week before, the night before games. We'll preview things that are coming up. My man Zach Fleer here, look, the most connected when it comes to high school basketball in this area. We've got some things planned. We're going to bring you guests on. We're going to have basketball players come through and be interviewed. It's going to be very special. So thank you, everybody that's checking in. I appreciate it. Drop those comments. Send those comments in.
I have a comment from my wife. She says, shout out to your wife. So shout out to Lauren. She's a wonderful lady.
Lauren knows how I feel about her. I've told her this
awesome,
on multiple times that, I love just the fact that she allows you to come hang out with us on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Well, we wouldn't be married if she didn't let me do that. So, no, I'm just kidding. But wonderful. She's a teacher. When we met, the passion I have for kids and then the passion she has for kids, it was almost, perfect. So we met at a Ohio State football game. So anyone who doesn't know the story, I'll just real brief about it. I bought one ticket. She bought one ticket for the very first game of the 2016 season. We happened to be sitting right next to each other. And since that day, we've basically been dating and then engaged and then now married. So,
are you serious?
That's how we met. No mutual friends, nothing. I bought one ticket on StubHub. She had one ticket in the South Stands at Ohio State, and we were placed right next to each other, and that's how we met. So
unbelievable.
People, you don't need to download Tinder to find love. You can still find it the traditional way.
At Ohio
Maybe
State
not my way,
game.
But that's how it happened. So.
Buckeyes bringing love together. I love it, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Really, that was real.
That's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Corey, what's up, man? So look, let's touch on Walnut Ridge. We love Walnut Ridge, the talent that they have there.
Ridge Hype is back.
4841 Livingston.
Shout out to Jawanza Moore,
Jawanza,
the number one alumni.
Juwanza, what's up, man? Hey, have some Reese's Donuts, man. The first Walnut Ridge game. Can we do something like that?
Shout out to Malik Harrison, too. He had the best game of his career last Saturday.
He did. Shout out to Malik and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Huge win over Michigan. That was unbelievable. But look, man, Malik and the linebacker, just real quick, man. Let's jump on this real quick. But the linebacker crew had been totally just talked about it was the worst that the program had ever seen. But for him, City kid, Walnut Ridge, 4.841 to play.
3-star athlete. He was like the second lowest rated recruit in that 2016 class. I believe he was the last one to sign too, because he signed on signing day. Ohio State had a majority of that class already signed.
To play a game like that, man, it made the entire city feel good. Right?
For me, man, the second play of the game, Michigan gets a good run on first down. Karan Higdon's going crazy, like, oh, we're going to run like this all game. And then Malik sacks Shea Patterson and, flexes and throws up the 4. Like,
it sent a message, didn't it?
It sent a message, and from that point forward, it was Malik's ball game. I'm obviously extremely biased. I have a Malik Harrison jersey at home. I was like, Malik, this is your game, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm extremely proud of him, but I think one thing that Malik does off the court is he's always around Walnut Ridge. He supports those kids. Anytime they have a big event that he can make it to, he's there.
Yes.
Even like he went to a scrimmage. I was at a scrimmage at Reynoldsburg 2 weeks ago, and Malik was there.
He bleeds it literally. So he is definitely one of our own, from Columbus, from the City League to Ohio State, to making plays on the biggest stage. You can't be more proud from a young man,
great kid, man.
From the city. Let's talk about some of the individuals that Malik has inspired.
Yes.
Okay, from the 4.841. Let's start with Magwood, man. A kind of all-star staring. Plus, he just came off an all-state performance, first-team all-state in football. A tremendous athlete, but he does it all. He's going to go from football now to the basketball court. He is the point guard. It kind of, he brings the energy, the passion,
He sets the tone. He is the heart and soul of that team.
Yes.
He gives them that edge that they have and that chippiness that they have. Here's in the tournament last season, I believe this might have been his first end-game dunk. From that point forward, if Central Crossing was staying close to Walnut Ridge, it was over at that point. He just kind of set the tone for that game and put an impact on it. But that's what Keon does. He's just a tough kid. Ever since I saw him in the summer league, going into his freshman year, and I was like, who is that kid? Like, he's just tough. He can beat anybody off the dribble. He plays with a lot of energy and passion. That's Keon. He does it on the football field. He's a lockdown corner, big-time wide receiver. But in basketball, he's a top 5 guard in that class. He can defend 94 feet. He can take anybody off the dribble. He can make great passes. He's starting to shoot the ball a lot better, and he can finish at the rim.
Yes.
And he's starting to throw down. Every time he has a chance to dunk, he's throwing it down. He sets the tone, but I think the guy he's been their most productive dude since the very beginning is Von Cameron Davis.
Very interested to hear what you have to say about him, because this is a young man who picked up a lot of attention over the summer, really at the end of last year. And I think there are some huge things expected for Von Cameron Davis this year. Is he ready to live up to the hype, pun intended?
Yes, absolutely. He averaged 22.5 points per game as a freshman or as a sophomore last year. He tied Jawanza Moore's record of 43 points in the win at Briggs last year. Von Cameron is ready. He's developed a lot to his game. When he was a freshman, he was more of a, back to the basket, kind of getting guys, off their feet, has great footwork, great post work. He's developed into more of a guy who can play on the perimeter. He can dribble the ball. He's shooting the ball at a consistent level. And it's the reason why schools like Bowling Green, Ohio, Youngstown State, Toledo, Kent State, James Madison, Stony Brook, they're all offering this kid. Ohio State's keeping their eyes on him. He's obviously a local kid. Anytime they've gone local lately, it's paid off. He reminds me kind of a bit, not as athletic as this guy was in high school, but it reminds me a lot of Jay Sean Tate and the fact that he's always consistent. You can harp on him. You may say he's not athletic enough or he doesn't shoot the ball enough, but he's productive. Every time he goes out, he's going to get you 20 and 10. He's going to play hard. He's a great teammate, great kid, great attitude, and has great parents and just great all-around upbringing. I think he's ready, and he's going to be aided in the front court now because teams can't double-team him now.
Big-time transfer, right?
Because they got Kavion Ross from Hamilton Township, who's another guy, two-sport athlete.
Yep,
He's
football.
got Division I wide. He's a wide receiver, right?
Yes, he is.
At 6'5", 220, whatever.
Super athletic, yep.
Kavion comes in. His dad is an East Side dude, wanted to get him kind of back to those roots. Shout out Nelson Hunter, that's his dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually interesting. I work at Buckeye Nissan, and before last season, Nelson came in the dealership, didn't know who he was. He's like, hey, watch out for my son, Kavion Ross. He's a sophomore at Hamilton Township. Like, I'll keep an eye on him.
Yep.
And then he went out there and had a great season. So I get some of those comments, dads, check out my kid, and then I never see him. But for Kavion, he had a big sophomore season. At times last year, as Hamilton Township really took a step up in the MSL Buckeye, Kavion was a big reason for that. He comes to Walnut Ridge now, 6'5", cleans up the glass, can finish at the rim, dunk on people. You have that now with Keon and Von Cameron.
Problems.
They're going to be tough.
Problems.
So for Ridge, it's going to come down to outside shooting. You got to space the floor. If you want to beat the teams like Bradley and Pick Central and Dublin Coffin, you have to make shots because those teams are big and athletic too. And I think a guy that can do that for them is Demetrius Coble. He's a senior. He's waited his turn as well. He's been there all 4 years. And, latest scrimmages, he's been knocking down shots and really impressing in that role. So if they can have a guy like that, maybe Darren Brown, who's a sophomore, or Jordan Jones, the junior, if those guys can develop into some role players that can make shots for them, I think they can win the City League, and I think they can compete for a district title.
Now, a team in the city that is going to have a lot to say about that, and we're going to finish up on Division I. Westerville North, another team to look out for. Olentangy Liberty, another team, but one of the best players to look out for.
Ben Roderick.
Yes, please don't sleep if you have a chance to see this young man. He is tremendous. But I kind of want to move to Division II as we, get through another team that I feel like is going to challenge Walnut Ridge in the City League, and that's my alma mater. That is the Bulldogs of Columbus South playing a foundation game tonight against Dayton Ponce. So that's going on right now. So some of the Bulldogs I know won't be checking in, but the Bulldogs have a roster. I've been getting calls about what people have been seeing. They love the defensive intensity.
That's how it's been, man.
They have players, they have shot makers, they have athletes, and in my opinion, they have one of the top coaches. Not only in my opinion, but he was the state coach of the year, Coach Ramon Spears. What do you envision?
Let's talk about Spears real quick.
Let's do it, man. I'm always down for this.
So when Spears took over at South, I believe it was the 2011-12 season, they won maybe one game or went winless.
They won one game in the tournament against another team who was winless. That was Ramon Spears' first year. Came down to a couple free throws from Aaron Mullins. Got him his first victory.
Aaron Mullins playing at Wilmington right now. He's a senior. Spears, when it comes to getting guys on the next level, he's done it. It's not just Division I, it's Division II, Division III.
Absolutely.
NAIA, JUCO.
So, yeah, first year, one victory, and then the progression has started. And, I mean, they've been the best
2015
teams.
Season was the biggest year for them. They went into the tournament. Not many people were having high expectations for South. I think they peaked like a year early because that 2016 class were the key on that team.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like Tamal Watkins, his younger brother Trey, is a senior now. Tamal was a shot maker, just a tough point guard, gritty guy.
Smart.
They won the district title when those guys were juniors. They beat Johnstown, which people favored Johnstown up to that point. They knocked out Beechcroft the round before. But South in the last 4 years, in my opinion, South they're the number one program in the City League.
I agree.
When it comes to year after year and what they've done in the last 5 years. But the last 4 years, they've won 84 games. They have 2 district titles and 1 City League title. They were the first South Division team to win a City League title back in 2017, since Afrocentric in 2005, and before that was West back in 2000. So,
and I like how they did it when they won the city. They didn't, they didn't end up there against a team like Mifflin, who maybe had a good year.
They beat the Bully.
Yes, they did. And a tremendous game by another young man I want to bring up, Marcus Johnson, that he had in that city game. Just a tremendous athlete, tough on the glass, defensively. Athletically, he's one of the top guys when you talking about what he can provide from an upside, his potential, right?
Yeah, he's one of 2 players in the City League with Division I basketball offers, Von Cameron Davis being the other. Marcus is a guy in that 2020 class. He's always been there. He's been productive. This season, with South, they're going to need him to develop into the number 2 guy, and I think he's very capable of doing that. Big-time athlete, like you mentioned, can rise up with anybody, can snatch down rebounds and start the break. But he's developed his game on the perimeter. He played in my open gym back in October and was hitting shots that I hadn't really seen him make before.
Right.
And handling the ball, better than what I've seen in the past. So with the developments that Marcus has made alongside Trey Watkins and Trey, probably, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in that 2019 class. He should have every Division II offer in the state of Ohio. For teams that need a point guard that can make shots, Trey's that type of guy.
He is.
He's just a tough kid. He's another South Side tough kid. His brother Tamal has had a great career at Shawnee State. Trey's a little more talented than Tamal was in high school. A little bigger, too. He's about 5'11", 6 foot. It's going to start with him. He was the only double-digit scorer last season for the Bulldogs. He's poised to have a big season. He can make shots again. He can make shots. He can get to the basket. Smart player, defends, and just runs the show for that team. Between those two, Marcus and Trayon.
I like Taquan Symington.
Taquan is.
They
call him Bink. That's his
Bink,
nickname.
Hey, I love Bink, man. Listen, last year.
You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Day Long from Beechcroft.
Yes, I can see that. I do. He's over 6 feet, so he has a little bit of size. I just love his swag, the way he comes in. He wants to get buckets. He plays defense.
Energy.
Yes,
instant energy.
They have a big three. They have,
they got another junior, Travell Adams, who not many people may know about him, but Travell's another guy who can score. He's athletic. They got 4 guys in the backcourt that are all talented and know how to play and play great defense. And when it comes to tournament basketball, there's no shortage of good guards. If you have good guards, you can win in March. That's what South has. And
good guards and good coaching, and they've got one of the best there. Absolutely. Let's move on. We're getting close on time here. I want to talk about one of the kids that is very high on your rankings, your list, over at Bishop Hartley. Shout out to Hartley on the football team side. Eastmore with that big victory. But basketball, you think that they've got a player that is going to be one to watch, and that's Morgan Stafford, right?
Yep. In the 270 Hoops Fall League last season, in this past fall, he led the whole fall league in scoring at about 25 points per game. Last season had a big year. First time he had scored double figures for the season in the high school setting. Hartley plays a little slower, but when you see him in more wide open settings, he's one of the top bucket getters. Probably, in my opinion, the best scorer in that senior class because he can do it everywhere, and he's relentless, man. He never stops going. He's got a great motor, and I believe he played in 24 fall league games maybe in his career in the 270 Hoops Fall League, and he scored 400 points total.
Really?
In the fall league, yes. He was the MVP this past season. There was no doubt his team was undefeated up until the championship game. But on the high school scene, it's going to start and finish with him. He's also waited his turn at Hartley 4 years. This is his senior year. He's finally the guy. Last season they had Garrett Tipton, who's playing at Bellarmine now, one of the top D2s in the country. Morgan's ready to lead. He's going to handle ball handling a lot for them.
Who's going to follow him on Hartley's team? Who's coming with him? Okay,
Peyton Collins, Eastern Kentucky football commit. Had a breakout junior season last year. He's 6'7", strong, finishes inside and can rebound. And he's just another tough guy that you don't want to run into because he'll put you on your butt. So those two are the top 2 guys. They do have some good complementary pieces for Hartley. They have one of the best starting 5, and you can talk to Coach Quartercracks. It's going to come down to the depth in that bench. If the young guys on the bench, guys like P.J. Daniels and Will Miller, if those guys can grow up and take the next step, I think Hartley's got a chance to be really good. And the interesting thing is I have South and Hartley 1-2 in Division II. They play on Saturday. So we'll know right off the bat
who's going to be a favorite,
who the team is to beat in Division II.
I mean, why wait to the end? Let's just get it started now. I want to move on. Another team in Division II that we should keep our eye on, DeSales.
Yes.
Another program that historically always puts out really good teams. What are you expecting from DeSales this year?
They were young last year, didn't have many seniors. They still are pretty young this year. They have a trio between Kyan Durden and Desmond Watson and Kobe Ryder that can all play. Kyan Durden had a breakout sophomore season 2 years ago. It was funny, as a sophomore, he kind of did it. His role as a sophomore was to knock down shots. Then last year, he was an athletic finisher. He can do stuff like that. As when he was a sophomore, he's a senior now. He's just as athletic and can make shots. He's going to be the top guy. Desmond Watson is a sophomore there now. As a freshman last year, they made it all the way to district semifinals. They were under 500 in the regular season because they'd taken some lumps in the CCL. They made a run. They won 2 straight games on the road in the playoffs and then lost to Eastmore in the district semis. They gave Beechcroft a tough game last year, and I think it was that game against Beechcroft at the end of the regular season where they kind of figured it out, like, we can play with anybody.
Right.
DeSales is a team they're going to challenge with Hartley and then Watterson as well in the CCL. I think they're ready to take that next step and maybe compete for another district title.
I want to move on to Division III because it's a player out there that I think we both are really high on, and just the maturity level, the physical talent that he brings, led this team on a great run last year, and that is C.J. Anthony from Harvest Prep.
Kid's a winner. He is a stud. If Matt Alaco's the top leader at the point guard position, I think C.J. Anthony's right there. It doesn't matter what setting the game is in. He's going to play to win. He's going to play hard. He's going to communicate, and he's going to elevate guys. And I think at the point guard position, a skill that some people don't evaluate, or maybe they don't value as much, is how much you do for your teammates. Do guys like playing with you, or do they, when you're on their team, they really don't want to be on the same court as you?
Yep.
CJ is a guy that elevates his teammates. He gets the best out of everyone. And Harvest Prep is a school that they take guys that maybe have been underlooked if they were somewhere else, or people don't know about him. And David Dennis gets him in that system, and he gets the best out of him. CJ is a guy who's been just like that. I think he's Division III Player of the Year. You can mark it down now. He's going to average 20, 25 a game. He's going to have a lot of assists and rebounds because physically he's ready for college basketball right now, and he's only a junior. So.
Yes. I mean, physically he is definitely imposing from the point guard position, very strong. I think what I'm looking for, too, is I think his confidence has grown since last year. Oh, yeah. I mean, he now knows – especially playing in Division III, but with some of the platforms that you offer, your fall league and things of that nature, I feel like CJ's, he's went up against the, the better players in the area. Yes, and he has held his own. And I feel like he, like you said, Division III Player of the Year, I feel like it's his to lose.
Him and Von Cameron Davis and Don Penn, they'll all hit 1,000 points this season. Those three have probably been the most productive when it comes to just scoring the basketball and, making a difference on the offensive end.
I think Dom is a little bit more pure, handle jump shooter, but CJ is just so strong tough, and physical and mentally, man.
He's a great student too.
Yes, yes.
When Penn came into, they're seeing Max Marks in an open gym. They stopped by, they watched CJ, and they were really impressed. So they're going to come back and keep checking him out. Great academically. His dad, Chris Anthony Sr., is just one of the best guys that I've been around. He's every time CJ's got anything going on, his dad's right there, and just. Another guy that I think when kids have an influence like that in their lives, it makes a difference. And CJ is a guy that has that in his dad. So I think that's a lot of the toughness that he has was instilled, growing up. But Harvest Prep is not just a one-man show.
Yeah.
Brandon Beavers is the real deal at the point guard position. He plays off the ball because CJ is so ball dominant, and their best basketball is when he has the ball in his hands. But Brandon can do it himself. And when he's got the ball, CJ excels as a spot-up shooter, too. So.
Now, are these three brothers on the team?
Yes, they're all brothers. You got Brandon, Brian, and Bryce.
Bryce Beavers, Brandon Beavers, and Brian Beavers. The Beaver family heavy on the Harvest Prep roster.
Brandon has improved as much as anybody in the area in the last, 12 months, 365 days. He's ready to make a statement this season.
Wow. Brandon Beaver, 6'2", watching.
Shout out to Sol Hines, too.
Okay.
6'4", Freddie Hines, again, a great dad. Harvest Prep has a lot of great dads in that program that are just supportive.
A lot of support, man.
A lot of support.
Yes.
And a lot of realness, too.
Yes.
Freddie is one of the guys, I've known him for a while, when that 2019 class was coming in as freshmen. Freddie and then even Kyan Durden's dad, Mr. Turu Durden, they kind of put me under their wing and gave me a lot of information on these guys. Freddie's one that he's always been real, When I talk to Freddie, he's talking more about other kids and how much he likes other players and not talking about his son, which is pretty cool to me. But Sol is 6'4". He's a shot maker, stretches the floor. He's pretty athletic. He's got an offer from Malone. More than likely, we'll probably sign there here in the next couple months. Yeah. They have a squad. And I think another guy is Elijah Glenn, the senior, 6'4", 6'5", real thick post, has great feet, very nimble, and can make shots. So,
and I'm looking at them, good size.
They got great size.
For a Division
Andrew
III
Tate
team.
is another senior. He transferred in from Walnut Ridge prior to last season. Versatile guy, athletic, can defend, can make shots. Another tough kid. So,
two guys are watching. Sean Evanson is watching. What's up, Sean, out there? My uncle, the legend, Reggie Lee, is watching. He's over there coaching at Afrocentric. And just really to go back real quick on the South High School, Marcus Johnson, a great player to watch, but he has a sister also. My uncle made me think of this as he's watching over at Afrocentric. Malia Johnson, she's a great player as well. So the Johnson family, loaded athletically.
They won't be
they're
paying
awesome.
for college. So.
Right, absolutely. Let's hit on another couple teams in Division III, Marion Pleasant and Northmore. You got a couple words on these two programs?
Yeah, so Marion Pleasant, their squad, they returned their whole starting five from last season. One of the very best teams in the MOAC conference. They have a kid, starts in the front court, Ethan Warner. He's a big-time quarterback on the gridiron, but when it comes to basketball, he's 6'6" and can do a lot. That's a player that I'm really high on. In the backcourt, they have several guards that have been there for a long time. Looking at this roster,
No, I don't. Go ahead.
I'm drawing a blank on the guard's name.
Man, it's all
they got shooters, though. I saw them play at Harvest Prep last season. They gave Harvest Prep a game through about 3.5 quarters, and then the depth kind of took over for Harvest Prep. When it comes to D3, there's 2 district titles to win.
Okay.
I think it's Harvest Prep. I think it's Pleasant. Those are my 2 favorites. But in D3, rounding that out, Johnstown's going to be right there. Northmore's going to be there. They lose a lot of senior talent from last season, but they got a couple guys coming back. They're going to have big seasons for them. They're another favorite in the KMAC conference up there, kind of in northern central Ohio. Wellington's another squad in Division III. And Afrocentric, we can't forget about Afrocentric because they made it to the state final, and they lose the top 3 scorers in Trey Baumgartner, Dorian Holloway, Ja Bennett, but they return Callie Davis. They return Anthony
You are
Bowman.
high on Callie, man. I remember,
love Callie.
Yeah, I remember being at the state finals with you last year, and you said that was a kid that you felt like he could hit that streak and get back in the game.
He's going to be the number 1
scorer.
Yeah, I believe in him as a shooter, as a scorer. He was more of a secondary guy last season with Trey Baumgartner. This season, he's going to be their number 1 guy, and I think Coach Bates doesn't get enough credit for the type of coach that he is because Afrocentric, I put out a list. You can find it on our website. If you go to the college menu, you go to the home menu, you click on college, you can see all the guys from Central Ohio playing college basketball at any level right now. Coach Bates has been done as well as anybody in the area with helping his guys get to college, whether that's Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college, whatever it is. He's helping his guys. He's reaching out to coaches, and that's something that not all high school coaches do. Not everybody's involved in recruitment. Coach Bates is, and when it comes to X's and O's, he can hold his own. I mean, that play that they ran.
I was going to say, man,
it was regional final last year. The inbounds.
The shot her around the world, man.
Trey Baumgartner, but that was a great setup that Coach Bates drew up. Big fan of Mike Bates. He's been really in my corner ever since I started, and very thankful for him. And I think Afrocentric, because of his coaching and some of the guys they got coming back, they're going to be right there in D3.
The Bates family special. Pick North.
Jason Bates has done a great job out there.
Their father is also a great coach
in Toledo.
Toledo, absolutely. So let me see. Division IV, you got Tree of Life, you got Fisher Catholic.
Those are the top 2.
Those are the top 2 teams to look for. Sean Edmondson checks in. He says Columbus South is going to be special.
Yep.
I've been hearing that a lot. I can't wait for the matchups between Walnut Ridge and Columbus South. Is going to be
December 11th.
Amazing.
It's coming up.
All right, and look, let's hit these schedules real quick because the season's up on us. Yes. Okay, Friday, some big time Division I games. Hilliard Bradley, no games, but Pick Central, they play Springfield
Saturday. So this is for what's coming up this week. Saturday, All Ohio, they got a showcase. They got 6 games at Pick North and 4 games at Gahanna. There's big time matchups. All the top teams in the area for the most part will be playing. I'm excited for some of the games. You start with Pick Central. They play Springfield, which will be interesting because they got 2 players from Springfield. So that game's going to be pretty highly contested. Dublin Kaufman opens up at Mansfield Senior. Then they got Dayton Thurgood Marshall back-to-back. So those are going to be 2 athletic matchups. Upper Arlington plays Huber Heights Wayne. And
they always bring athletes.
Pick North, too. Pick North, we haven't talked about them yet.
We haven't.
They were the 1 seed last year. They got upset by Mount Vernon. They lost a lot of senior talent, but they do have some studs coming back. Jack Sawyer was the best freshman in Central Ohio as far as productivity and just getting it done last year. And he may be number 1 in the country for
I was going to say that's in 2 sports, right?
I mean, he is J.J. Watt waiting to happen.
Yes.
But as a basketball player, he would be a Division I basketball prospect as well. They have a nice squad. They have him. They have Hunter Shedenhelm, who's a junior, big-time shooter. In the games last year against Pick Central, especially the second one when they were down for most of the game, he came in, hit about 4 straight threes in a row.
Do you think that it will help them being more under the radar this year? They had so much talent.
So much pressure last year.
Yeah, it was, man.
The expectations were crazy because they had the 2 transfers of Corey Baker and Ross Ryan. They start off like 11-0. They beat Shaker Heights. They beat Darius Baisley and Cincinnati Princeton at flying to the hoop.
Yep.
They're 11-0. Like, people are like, man, no one's going to stop them. They got everyone's best game, and I think they kind of got worn down the stretch and really got tripped up, especially against Dublin Jerome and then against Mount Vernon. This season, I don't think people are expecting as much out of them. And I think they have enough talent, especially in the freshman and sophomore classes, to really compete in the OCC Ohio.
I want to touch on one more team in Division I. We're getting close to the wrap up. Hour goes fast.
I know,
man,
so
especially fast. It was exciting. I want to touch on one more team in Division I because I think this team might have the player that everyone's going to want to watch this year. Freshman, Sean Jones. Sean Jones, man. Hey, this young man, if you don't know, he's who you want to see. As a young player, incredible handle, finesse around the rim.
IQ is incredible.
He is definitely the truth. You want to talk about Gahanna just for
for a quick second. So Josh Corbin, their senior leader, he broke his elbow, unfortunately, 2 weeks ago in a scrimmage. They're without him for probably the first 3 quarters of the season. So it's going to be the Sean Jones show starts now. He's going to be the leading point guard for them. I think a senior that goes under the radar is Elijah Thomas. Mm-hmm. He was their leading scorer last season as a junior. He's a shot maker, supreme guy that can score in many ways. So it's going to be those two, but they have a nice, surrounding core. With Corbin being out, Gahanna has one senior. It's Elijah Thomas. That's it.
Wow.
So they're mainly freshmen and sophomores. Jarius Jones is a sophomore, 6'5", just a tough wing forward kid that I think with Corbin being out, he's going to step up into a starting role. They're always going to be well coached. Gahanna always is. But without Corbin, it's going to be tough in the first half of the season.
Any chance Corbin comes back this year? Is he done? It's over.
I heard it was 6 to 8 weeks, but that was prior to surgery. So that remains to be seen. I wish him well. He's signed to Winthrop. Just a great kid, great family. And it's really unfortunate that he had this injury because he was playing at an all-state level in the preseason and especially over the summer when he picked up all those mid-major offers. So I wish the best for Josh.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to you, definitely.
For him and his family.
So as we come up on the wrap up, okay, let's go back over what's coming up. The 2 games at Pick North and Gahanna. Can you repeat that information for everybody again?
Yeah. So the All Ohio Rising Stars Showcase to start the season. There's 6 games at Pick North starting at 11 a.m. You can catch Reynoldsburg over there, Pick Central, Pick North, Upper Arlington, and then Afrocentric plays Grandview Heights.
That's
in
going to be a big
Division III.
one.
That's going to be a big Division III matchup. And then over at Gahanna, you got 4 games over there. If you check out Gahanna, the Bishop Hartley South game will be there. So that's number 1 versus number 2 in Division II. And you can see Gahanna against Richmond Heights and the Sean Jones show really start off there. It's great action, especially all season long. If you go to 270hoops.com, click on our schedule tab. It's at the top in the homepage.
Yes.
You can see all the games. We have inputted schedules for more than 100 teams. If you play basketball in Central Ohio, we have your schedule. We're doing our best, absolute best, to make sure everybody has their stats in there and gets covered. So it's going to be a fun season. I'm really excited to get going. It goes by fast. Obviously, this hour just went by like it was 5 minutes.
Hey, man, right. So, listen, on my end, I just want to thank you again.
Thank you
for being willing to go all in on this with me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do it without you. Again, the foremost authority in high school basketball in this area is Zach Fleer. So, looking forward, again, he told you about the games coming up this week. We will be back December the 8th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to be bringing you all of the top high school coverage. Not only boys, but we would be remiss before we close out of here tonight to not mention the girls and some of the great players that they have.
There's
JC
a lot
Sheldon,
of big-time talent in Central Ohio girls basketball right now.
JC Sheldon, Dublin Kaufman, State Player of the Year. Katie Schumite at Newark, another outstanding player. Macy Spellman over at Upper Arlington. And then we know about the great Jordan Horston over at Afrocentric. Madison Green, state champion at Pick Central. We got 2 at Pick Central, actually. Malia Perry,
Stud.
Auburn commit. She's defending state champion over at Pick Central. Westerville South, loaded with talent. Gabby Hutchinson, Summer Feitzer. Just great players on the men's and women's side.
Shout out to my guy Kevin Lee from work. His daughter Kayla Lee plays at Westerville South too.
They're loaded, man.
They got some talent over there.
Shout out to Mike Drennan who was watching. Sean Emerson said, "Great job, fellas. Thank you very much for checking in."
Got a couple comments that wrap it up.
Come on, Led. Let's go.
Jason Morrow, 270 Hoops, just posted this. Use the promo code COHSS for 10% off on all orders for the 270 Hoops preview. Again, if you haven't checked it out, go to shop.270sports.com. You can reserve your physical copy. You can get your digital copy as well. For those who get the digital copy, it'll be emailed out. You can download it tomorrow if you've already bought it. And the physical copies, if you order this, is 92 pages. information, everybody in the area. We're covering it all. So
hey, listen, I'm not telling you don't get the online. What I'm just advising you, though, is get the physical copy. You will be impressed.
And one last comment, Chris Vini says, be on the lookout for West this year. It's been a long process, but we'll be great this season. We have a lot of talent and true potential. Just wait. Chris is a kid for the Cowboys. Last season as a sophomore, or as a junior, he had a pretty good season. I believe he averaged about 12 points a game. They have a couple pieces on that squad. Abdi Gele, Somali kid, can play, hit shots. He played in our fall league and was pretty productive in the last 4 games. West has some talent. They just got to put it together. I'm excited for those guys. You know, they've been under the radar ever since Charles Holland and those guys graduated.
Just shout out to the West Side. What's up, Briggs? What's up, Rice? We see you out there, Rice. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. So, hey, if that's all for the comments, Zach has provided you with a lot of information. We're going to bring you more information, more education.
So Saturday morning, you'll see all the scores.
Absolutely.
On the bottom, on the top, you'll see it all. We're excited, man. It's going to be almost like SportsCenter on Saturday morning talking about Friday night basketball. I've wanted to do this since I started. Thank you, and thank producer G for making this possible. It's going to be great. This is just the very beginning. We thank anybody that's tuned in. You guys are the reason we're able to do what we do. You know, if we didn't have the support of the area, no one would tune in. No one would care. So we're really thankful for everybody that has supported 270 Hoops, supported the COHSS, and we're going to continue to bring you quality content and, you know, do the best that we can to help these kids and, you know, give them a platform that really wasn't there in Central Ohio before.
Hey, history. We just made it. We just made some more. The very first episode, man. It is the Central Ohio Hoops Report, the COHR.
COHR.
Right? Hashtag that. Hey, we will see y'all December 8th, 10 a.m. All right. Be good. We out.
I'll see you guys.